All right. So we're going to begin. And don't send me messages during this class. So we're going to do, this is my favorite book, possibly of all time. It's called Zen Flesh, Zen Bones, which is not coincidentally the name of the talk that I'm giving tonight. And I am not even going to attempt to do this book justice in the parts of it that I'm reading tonight. I'm just going to do a little bit of read a couple of random passages and talk about it. But this book is a collection of Zen stories and some koans and some great writings that I highly recommend if you have not read it yet. It's wonderful. So the title Zen Flesh, Zen Bones comes from one of the stories in the book. And so the legendary founder of Zen is also the legendary founder of Kung Fu and all martial arts, Bodhidharma. So we have a statue of Bodhidharma up there in the corner. He's also a picture on the other wall, and he's overlooking us all during class. Although I guess if you're standing right where I am, he can't see you. But everybody else, he can see you, and he can see you when you're meditating, so sit still. There are lots of great stories about Bodhidharma. They say that he came to China from India. He was a very well-known monk, and he was traveling. Some say that he rode on a cloud. Some people say that he rode on a reed, like a piece of grass, down the river all the way to China. And some people say that he walked there. I don't know, it's a long walk. But he came, and the emperor knew that he was coming, and he says, look at all these things that I've done. Look at all these temples that I've built and all these amazing things that I've accomplished for Buddhism. Tell me that I'm going to heaven. Tell me that I am, going to achieve nirvana. Tell me that I'm great. And Bodhidharma looked at all these things and he said, no. And he's like, this is just building this stuff, especially if you're doing it, with the intention of getting into heaven. It's like you're cheating. You can't do that. So the emperor didn't like that, and he kicked him out. And then Bodhidharma is going through the countryside in China, and he comes to Shaolin Temple, the temple in the woods. And he sees at the temple that the monks are all there, meditating away and reciting their sutras and copying, these texts. And they're just kind of like falling asleep as they do it. They're not, their spirit isn't in it, and they're not really engaging fully. And so and there's so much to this story, I'll kind of skip ahead a little bit, but he decides that the monks there are going to start to have this physical aspect to their training. And so he introduces some basic movements, like standing in a horse stance like this, like pushing like this. Maybe if you were really lucky, you got to throw a punch. And this is what evolved into Kung Fu. It was a spiritual practice right from the beginning. And it's no accident that the legendary founder of Kung Fu is also the founder of Zen, because it is, in my mind at least, synonymous with Zen. The practice, the martial arts practice, is it's a tool to get our minds to achieve this state. So many of you know the wall scroll that says Mushin, which means no mind. And the idea here is that there's no idea. You are in the moment fully and totally present, and the moment just fills you up. So when you are having somebody throw a punch at you, or even in Tai Chi and they're pushing at you, your mind has no chance to wander, because if it does, you get punched, you get pushed. And if you're the one throwing the punch, you can't let your mind wander, because then you accidentally punch your partner harder than you wanted to. So we have to be totally present. And at no point is the ego trying to be more engaged and in charge than when your safety is at stake. So this is an opportunity to discover the ego. When you're grappling or sparring with somebody, the ego wants to jump in and you know, make you freeze up or freak out, and you have to be able to recognize that and in the moment let it go. So it works very well, our practice, our physical practice, along with meditation. And Bodhidharma is the one who supposedly started it all. So this story is about Bodhidharma's last days in China at the Shaolin temple. So it says, the first Zen patriarch, Bodhidharma, brought Zen to China from India in the 6th century. According to his biography recorded in the year 1004 by the Chinese teacher Dogen, after 9 years in China, Bodhidharma wished to go home and gathered his disciples about him to test their apperception. It's a $10 word. Some of the stories say that Bodhidharma was dying at this point, and so he was about to just leave the earth, and this is what he says to his disciples. So he asked them basically to tell him, what is Zen? What is this thing that we've been studying? Dofuko says, in my opinion, truth is beyond affirmation or negation, for this is the way it moves. Bodhidharma says, he replied, you have my skin. The nun Soji said, in my view, it is like Ananda's sight of the Buddha land, seen once and forever. Bodhidharma answered, you have my flesh. Doiko said, the 4 elements of light, airiness, fluidity, and solidarity are empty, and the 5 skandhas are no things. In my opinion, no thing or nothing is reality. Bodhidharma commented, you have my bones. Finally, Eka bowed before the master and remained silent. Bodhidharma said, you have my marrow. I like this story because it first of all has the very direct kind of implication that there are different levels of understanding and different levels in our practice, be it our physical practice or our meditation practice. We will have different levels of understanding. And it is not necessarily, notice how Bodhidharma didn't say to any of these people, that's wrong, you're dumb. It was just, you have this part, you have this level, and it's right. And you cannot get to the marrow without first getting to the skin and the flesh and the bone. And there is no wrong place to be. And people have this experience all the time in learning martial arts where they feel like they should be at a different place. You know, they're learning Tai Chi and they're in the first couple of postures and they look around and they see other people that started at the same time who were further along in the form. And so they think naturally, well, I should be at that part in the form. How come I'm not good enough? How come I don't have it yet? And people who start Kung Fu and they, you know, start at the same time as somebody else who takes a test before them. This happened to me when I started and I had the same thought. Well, what's wrong with me? What am I, chopped liver? How come I'm not, you know, taking that test yet? And we have to, first of all, just through our practice, we will arrive at this understanding or at this state of being okay with it, or we're going to quit, because you cannot just teleport magically through the states and arrive at the end. And there is no end. This is what's so wonderful about our practice. Martial arts and meditation, it's like a mountain without a top. You just keep climbing and keep climbing. And it really is about the journey. So wherever you are right now, whether you have the skin, the flesh, the bones, or the marrow, which is so deep, it's not even in the title of this book, is perfect. It is exactly where you're meant to be. And there's no time limit on this, right? We want to practice with an intensity and practice with the intention of getting deeper and getting everything that we can. But some people say that It's impossible to achieve enlightenment in one lifetime. You're just going to get as far as you can in this life, and then set yourself up for the next one. That next life might be the one to get it. Maybe it's 100 lifetimes from now. Maybe you screwed up and they send you back to a cockroach, but you eventually get there. And it's impossible to live long enough lifetimes, they say at least, and not eventually become enlightened. So just relax. Wherever you are is perfect. So the different stories, the readings in this book, some of them are very accessible and direct and make a lot of sense. Some of them towards the end are much less accessible and are really meant to confuse you. These are some of the koans and the more difficult readings, but I'm gonna go random right now through this thing. So I just flipped to story number 22, My Heart Burns Like Fire. Soyen Shaku, the first Zen teacher to come to America, said, "My heart burns like fire, but my eyes are as cold as dead ashes." He made the following rules, which he practiced every day of his life. In the morning before dressing, light incense and meditate. Retire at a regular hour. Partake of food at regular intervals. Eat with moderation and never to the point of satisfaction. Receive a guest with the same attitude you have when alone. When alone, maintain the same attitude you have in receiving guests. Watch what you say, and whatever you say, practice it. When an opportunity comes, do not let it pass by, yet always think twice before acting. Do not regret the past. Look to the future. Have the fearless attitude of a hero and the loving heart of a child. Upon retiring, sleep as if you had entered your last sleep. Upon awakening, leave your bed behind you instantly, as if you had cast away a pair of old shoes. And I could spend the rest of this talk on this one. I'll go quickly through and give a couple of my thoughts. And this is a great book because a lot of these actually have a commentary by a Zen master, which I'm not going to proclaim today to be. I'm just going to do my best. So I love, first of all, he says, "My heart burns like fire, but my eyes are as cold as dead ashes." This is like the kind of person that you don't want to meet on a street unless you fully understand, and that this is the best person to meet anywhere. In the morning before dressing, light incense and meditate like you're naked, and before you do anything at all, this is it. You just roll out of bed right into meditation. It's great. I agree, because then you know it's going to get done that day. There are so many people who get up and start moving and they think like, I'm going to meditate today. I'm definitely going to do it. And then they get to the end of the day and they're so tired and they're already in bed before they remember to meditate. And they think, all right, tomorrow's the day I'm going to meditate for sure. Just do it. The first thing you do in the morning. I'm skipping ahead. Eat with moderation, never to the point of satisfaction. I would love to say that I do this, but I eat well beyond the point of satisfaction every time. But this is, if you're feeling overly full or really just overly satisfied in any place in life, this is kind of like we want to be a little bit hungry. This helps to keep us in the present. This helps to kind of push us forward and give us that intensity in life. Receive a guest with the same attitude when you are alone, and when alone, maintain the same attitude you have when receiving guests. Easy for me to say. This one is great because so often, we're one way when we're by ourselves, and then when we're around people, we kind of put on this facade and we're pretending to be a certain person or a certain way. And look, if you're a terrible person, keep putting on that facade when you're in the dojo, because I don't want to see the other person. But we are really meant to be totally ourselves and just very genuine. And if you feel the need to hide some part of yourself when you're around people, maybe stop being that way. Just be a different way so that you can be totally yourself when you're around people. And part of what we get in the dojo, and part of why the dojo is so powerful and nice, is that we really do put our best foot forward. And it's like, my etiquette is going to be great. I'm going to have the right attitude. I'm going to be totally focused. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to be nice to everybody. Everyone's going to like me. And you should just do that when you're by yourself. Just be your best person, but it's not fake, right? If you can change your mindset about this, and it's not like I'm pretending to be something. It is, this is my highest self that I am working towards. And you've all heard fake it till you make it. Fake it is not actually accurate. It is do the thing that you would do if you were your highest self. And in that moment, you're being your highest self. So this is a very easy way to kind of cheat your way to being amazing, is just think about what you would do if you were amazing, and then just do that thing. That's it. You're amazing right then and there. It's perfect. Watch what you say, and whatever you say, practice it. You know, we want to have this ability to do what we say and be totally clear with ourselves and completely true to our word. If we say we're going to do something, we do it. And you know, practice what you preach and all that stuff. And this turns into, you literally become a wizard, because if you can have no space between what you say and what happens, then anything that you want to happen, you just say it and you speak it into reality, because you know you're going to do it. So you got to start small and say things that you know are going to be a stretch for you, but you can still do it. It's possible. And then once you're used to you know, completing your goals or doing the things that you say you're going to do, and really doing the things that you say, then just start spitting all kinds of fire and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then do it. And then there is no end to what you're able to achieve. Language is magic, and we want to use it that way. Don't regret the past. Oh, wait, I skipped ahead. When opportunity comes, don't let it pass by, yet always think twice before acting. So don't let your opportunities pass by. Always think twice. Those seem kind of in a little bit of opposition to each other. But he doesn't say think thrice or think 4 times or think for a couple of years before you do the thing. Think twice. If the first thought was the thing right before you do it, maybe give it one more thought and then do it. Or decide, I'm not doing that thing. Upon second thought, I'm done with it. This is distinct from second guessing yourself, which second guessing always actually turns into just a long time of just waiting, and you know, it stays up here in your head. It never comes out here into reality. So think twice is like, I'm not just going to be an idiot and jump into stuff without having understood the consequences. But as soon as I've understood the consequences, I'm doing it. That's it. Don't regret the past, look into the future. It's the same thing. Don't look too much into the future, though. Be in the present. That's what meditation is for. Fearless attitude of a hero and loving heart of a child. Yeah, that's self-explanatory. And then upon retiring, sleep as if you've entered your last sleep. So many people tell me, Sifu, I have a hard time sleeping. I lay in bed at night and I just lay there thinking about all the things that I have to do still in my life, thinking about the things that I didn't get done that day, thinking about this thing that's worrying me or that thing that's worrying me. And I usually don't have this problem. And it's not because I was born with an amazing ability to sleep or anything like that. It's because I just do what I love to do every day. And I, you know, generally get the things done that I want to get done. And if not, I write them down in a place that I know I'm going to get them done tomorrow or when they need to get done. But if you have all kinds of things left up in the air, and it would be really nice if it was just the things to get done, but it's really like the things we hold on to are the things that we need to clean up with the people in our lives, those difficult conversations, or those things that we're really kind of taking personally and feeling like crap about because it's something that's like left undone, or something that you are worried about, something that you're stressed about that needs to happen. Rather than pushing those things off, just do it. Just get it done. And then you will go to sleep, and it might not have gone perfectly, but it's done. And then when you're laying there in bed, your mind wants to find things to worry about or wants to find things to be upset about, there's nothing left. It's all good. So then you can just sleep like a rock, like it's your last sleep. And then upon awakening, leave your bed behind you instantly as if you cast away a pair of old shoes. If you sleep really well, you're going to wake up with a smile on your face and just jump out of bed, and that's it. If you're laying in bed, hoping like, can this day just kind of pass by without me having to enter it? You know, all the things that you have to do in that day, or the things that you're worried about confronting. Of course, you're going to lay in bed and hope that that day doesn't ever actually have to begin. And then when you finally, like, it's so late in the day that you know that you're going to, you know, get fired from your job or whatever, then you drag yourself out of bed, and then you take that energy through the rest of your life. It starts with what you did the day before, and did you take care of the stuff that needed to get taken care of? If it didn't, then take care of it today. You'll sleep well, you'll jump out of bed feeling amazing the next day. All right, let's flip to another random page. This one is, I think, a koan. This is Basho's staff. Basho said to his disciple, "When you have a staff, I will give it to you. If you have no staff, I will take it away from you." So this is one of those things that you might not supposed to be able to understand. I'm going to read the comments. This is Mumon's comment. "When there is no bridge over the creek, the staff will help me. When I return home on a moonless night, the staff will accompany me. But if you call this a staff, you will enter hell like an arrow. With this staff in my hand, I can measure the depths and shallows of the world. The staff supports the heavens and makes firm the earth. Everywhere it goes, the true teaching will be spread." I don't get this. I'm sure if I spent a while on it, I'd have some kind of an idea. But if anybody understands it, please tell me about it. It's one of those things. I get the feeling that this one has a level at which you'll kind of have like oh, I get what the staff is supposed to be. And I'm not there today. So just be with it and enjoy it. Basho's staff, whatever it is. But there's the point here where you say, if you call this a staff, you will enter hell like an arrow. Part of the idea behind this is if you're in the space where you're not like labeling things and you're not separating things, this is meant to be like a state of being in heaven. It's a higher state and a meditative state. If you're sitting there and meditating and then you start like attaching to things, to thoughts, to objects, and you're starting to separate things out, this is the idea of going to hell like an arrow. So it's maybe not a literal hell, but it's like compared to the meditative state, the high state, when you start to get attached to these things, attached to language, and you are separating yourself from that, then it's going to feel like you're shot to hell in an arrow. Let's go to the next one. I can't talk about that one anymore. Well, I just skipped to the preamble, to the part that all the koans are in, and the first sentence is, "If you like sweet and easy living, skip this book. It is about men tremendously intent on being reborn, on Satori enlightenment. It can happen to you. In a flashing moment, something opens. You are new all through. You see the same unsame world with fresh eyes. This universe-renewing power comes by grace, not logic." That's why you don't know what the staff is. "Whatever you do or wherever you are seems to make little difference. It doesn't make sense. It makes you. These old Chinese devised problems called koan to stop their students' word drunkenness and mind wandering. When they had the student meditate on a koan, this was another way of saying, don't waste your life merely sensing. Channel thought and feeling to one purpose, and then let it happen. Has this art of turning on one's light been lost? It needn't be if you put your mind and all else you have to it. If the leaders of mankind were aware, when by chance they come into minor powers, they might exploit others less. these old teachers complimented their students by criticism, blows even. When they praised, it usually meant belittling. This was the custom. They had a deep concern for their pupils, but showed it in presence, not words. This goes on for a long time. I'll make a comment on the last part here. So you have all experienced when you're in class that I usually am spending at least half of the comments that I give you on something positive. I'm like, great job, keep your hands up, you're doing amazing. And then some of the stuff that I say is, you need to fix this, you need to fix that, keep your hands up, all that stuff. And the longer you practice for, the more mean I will get, because the less you need me to hold your hand and be all nice to you, and the more you need me to like really point out the stuff that you've been missing for the 10 years that you've been practicing. And when this really happens, take it as a huge compliment. You don't need to take it as a disrespect, or like, I don't think you're good enough or big enough to take the spicy sauce when I start yelling at you. But just know that it's coming, and at some point when we spar, I'll punch you a little bit harder than you think that you're used to, or you think you're ready for, and then all of a sudden you're ready for it. And push hands I might push, or I might throw a little bit more on you, and your senior students will do the same. And in that moment, your immediate response, your reaction will be, why? Why is it so mean to me? Or why is she pushing me so hard? And you take it personally. If anything, take it personally in the other direction. Somebody hits you, and you should think to yourself, that's right. I was ready for it. I was ready to be hit. I wasn't ready to move out of the way, but I was ready to be hit. And they must think that I'm really good. They must think that I'm ready for it. And it's true, right? They say that the universe or God is only going to throw at you what you're ready for. And you might not be ready for all that, but you're ready for at least a little bit more than you might think you're ready for. So in that moment, and this is like the Zen masters used to actually hit the monks. And if you ask me what Zen is, and I like you enough and you've been here for long enough, I'll give you an answer that you might not expect. So ask me someday. See what is Zen. But some of these stories are like fully violent. One of the disciples that ended up taking over the Shaolin monastery, the temple, was said, I believe Hakuin, was said to have, in some stories, cut off his own arm. It was his right arm. Nope, it was his left arm. Cut off his own arm. And in some stories, Bodhidharma just cut it off for him. But it was like in the nice version of the story, he cut it off and presented it to Bodhidharma like, please see how sincere I am. I'm ready to learn. And then in some other stories, Bodhidharma, in an attempt that I believe succeeded, was trying to help him achieve enlightenment and cut off his arm. And in one of the stories, he's swinging the arm around like this, and the blood spatters. And I feel like something grew from the blood. You got to read that story in the book, apparently. But these violent stories are like, they're not totally made up. And I think it's unlikely that he cut off his own arm and presented it to Bodhidharma, but possible. But the sincerity that is there, that is present for us when physical pain brings us fully into the moment. It is a moment where you're beyond the ego. It's a moment where you are truly present, and you'll feel that. If you want to experience this, ask somebody that you know and trust to someday in the next month just slap you and not to tell you when it's going to be. First of all, for the next week, every time you see them, you're going to be really aware and totally present. And then if they wait long enough, they'll catch you by surprise. And in that moment, you will be pulled so completely into the moment that nothing else will exist for you. This is something that you will experience in practice, and we hope it doesn't happen for you that often, and eventually you get good enough to get out of the way of it. But this is like the flip side to what I was talking about before with the ego being fully engaged. When you're worried about getting hit, you're worried about looking dumb or messing up, in the moment that it actually happens, or even in the moment that you're moving out of the way because you're so present. This is an experience of single-pointed focus, of absolute presence that we really want to, I want to say fall in love with it, but you don't want to fall in love with getting hit, but you get the idea. Fall in love with the single-pointedness of the present moment, of the way that you are, your consciousness and your whole being is sharpened like the point of a sword, pointing at this moment, and nothing else exists for us. This is really what we're aiming for. And in meditation, oftentimes people experience meditation like it's a kind of dulling of the mind, like it's I'm kind of falling into sleepy time, or my mind is being dulled by the rhythm of the breath. And of course, you can still become relaxed in that way. You can still get to a deeper state of consciousness, but we want to get there by being totally focused, one-pointedly focused. And in some temples, the head monk or the person running the meditation would come around, and you'd bow to them, and they'd slap you on the shoulder with a stick, and that would bring you right back to the moment and stop you from falling asleep. I'm not going to do that to you tonight, but imagine that I was going to. So be totally present so that you don't need the stick, right? You're just already there, totally here. Some of you, Kim's here for her first meditation, like, what did I get myself into? If you're at home watching this, you're safe for now. But we are going to sit and have your mind be sharply focused, totally present, as if a punch was coming, as if each breath is as important to be here for as a punch hurtling towards your face. Sit comfortably.